Today was pretty interesting price action, but I think there was still money to be made if you could stay patient and use your discretion and your experience to read VWAPs, know when to strike, and know when to just hold off. When in doubt, stay out. So let's take a look at the open first, where I didn't take the long because I just didn't feel like it was going to sustain. It looked very high up. If we look at the 50-minute here on the left, I definitely had the long bias coming into the open. We had a nice hold overnight. Let's just zoom it out even more so you can see. On the week, right, this is on a Wednesday, not the most bullish week so far, as Monday was very bearish, that this could still be making lower highs. But then once we take that out, and now it's looking more so like on the bottom, is still higher lows, right? Because we're zoomed in on the week right now. But if we zoom out just even more heading into last week, this definitely looks like we're still building higher lows on the bottom. Longs coming back in still makes sense. So I was still leaning long bias if we could sustain that. And it's almost like the open was too bullish, that I can't just jump in at the top here with no real pullback, that it's just drifting higher. That the first sign to buy it would be on a pullback to the New York VWAP. Let's even throw in a higher day VWAP to see if buyers can take full control again. You can see there's no real break of it here after the small pullback. And then after the pullback to New York, zoom it in, there is no take of high day VWAP. So it never really told you that buyers were 100% back in control. But I absolutely think it was a clear long bias, right? We just went over the 15-minute looking bullish. This 1 minute also matches that, and you're off of a key level of New York, and it's holding it for a while until it finally slices through it and sinks right back to the bottom. Erase that entire bullish drift up, right back down in the same amount of time. So I think it was just more so me personally. I just felt it was so high up. Right, we could even zoom it out. This is what it looks like when you're buying it. Try to hide the candles. You're just very high up there away from the daily VWAP. I'd like to see it come back a little bit more, maybe fill some of that gray space we have here on the daily, but ultimately come back up. But the idea was not that we were going to sink this far down. I was just saying if we come back down into the middle of the opening range and then break higher, I will long it on the way back up. Same price as here. I just wanted to see a little bit more price action be formed in the middle. Did not happen. All right, well, I'm not bearish on the day because I'm still leaning into that long bias. We've been above the daily. So the only short opportunity would have really been if you took that short when sellers take control of New York. Trading from top of range to the bottom of the range, I just wasn't really bearish to see that wanting to play out like it did. It is what it is, but I'm not falling in love with the shorts just because it's falling very sharply for strong new lows. Yes, I can't buy it down here, but I'm also not just jumping in on the shorts when it's not off a level. It's not giving my significant pullback off of New York VWAP or anything really, right? It doesn't even really come back down to open range low to give me something. Now, some people maybe put on a low of day VWAP here and sold it once sellers took control one more time, following the lower highs. Let's go make another new low. But I'm not really bearish, and you can see if you're using the VWAPs that I have on, the yellow one is start of week, and this blue one is the previous day's New York, maybe acting as support. So the first idea would be to long it when it bounces kind of like a double bottom down here, back up to New York. It's very early on in that move. It's tough counter trend, but we're off some VWAPs, so maybe you can find some support down there. And you're not really wrong for a while. So let's throw on a low day VWAP to the true low of day, and you'll see sellers cannot take that for the life of them. You can see one failed attempt, another pin through those VWAPs. Sellers can't take it and move us lower. So sellers are clearly weak, but we're below the New York. We're below the daily VWAP now on the 15-minute. It's a very tough long. So if we go over here on the 15-minute again, you can see, let's just go to my markup. This is the trade that I took. It doesn't come until 1 o'clock after I just see this thing holding the lower day VWAP for hours now, still above the previous day's New York, start a week. I'm playing below the daily VWAP on the 15-minute. You could see buyers are not fully back in control, but I'm playing the idea that this is going to be our higher low that we're working off of because the trend is still ultimately bullish, right? So with that information, if we go back to this 15-minute, you could see that I was hoping, I guess you could say, that I'm not really bearish, right? This day is still pretty much bullish. Of the start of day here, higher lows above the daily. Yeah, we might just build our next higher low right here and then move back into trend. The trend's not actually bearish. It was very bearish for an hour, no doubt about that, but the trend isn't actually bearish. So for that to continue would be tough to predict. But I'd rather predict the buyers stepping back in to continue the trend. And it could have bit me because we're below the New York, we're below the daily. But you cannot argue the fact that there's clear support down here. Buyers are waiting to pop us higher. Sellers are really failing over and over again. So I was able to wait all morning, miss the longs, miss the shorts, and then find a nice trade and make $1,500 across my two accounts on top one. because it's just really playing level to level. I know where I'd want to be out on this. If it finally does have the strength to make for a new low, get me out of that. That idea is wrong. So it's really just playing that. You could also even just look at this edge report. The ICT opening retracement, the midnight price, since it was such a strong pre-market bullish and the open was even more bullish, we opened above it 0.49%. That the odds that we retrace all the way back down and engage with that price is 33% of the time. You can go over here to Edgeful on the ICT, 0.33. This is 44%. When it's opened above in the last 6 months, you could even go to the year and get a little bit higher stats, I'm sure. Because now when you go, what did we say it opened up? Where's my markup? My markup of 0.49%. So 0.49%, you filter to this 0.1, 32% of the time. In the past year, when we open above it, 6 out of the last 19 have come all the way back down and engage with that midnight price. So even more reason to not believe that we're going to make another new low a day to go get that price. And now when you zoom it out on this markup, you can clearly see all of this support at the start of week and previous days in New York view up down here. It's a nice level to be buying off of. It may not be out of Futures 2.0 playing in trend, but it's definitely a viable option to play off of a support and some VWAPs. So hopefully you guys made money on this day. And I think if you did take those earlier longs that we went over in the beginning of this video, it's definitely not bad. I mean, what were you going to do? Sell it up there because it looked so bullish? It was all VWAP alignment, new high of day, trend continuation. Trend just didn't want to continue. Came right back down and smoked everybody out before really just crawling higher the rest of the day, right? Very tough to predict, very tough to navigate. But I think if you can stay patient, don't overtrade, don't over risk, and don't waste your risk throughout the day. Try to wait the best you can. Pick your spots more precisely. You're not always going to win that way, but you're going to give yourself a better shot at not overdoing it and keeping it simple. And if you can keep your account alive on these days, you can hopefully come back in the next day, find clean trend, and capitalize on that. One other thing is we talked about this trade on ASFX TV, so if you're not a member there, you can sign up for that. You'll get access to the 2 courses as well. You can see we were taking these trades. Austin took the long. Like I said, I was thinking it was just so high up. I mean, you can see how overextended that is. On the electronic trading hours, which I didn't even go over on this video, I'm sure that looks even more ridiculous of how high it is. Oh my Lord. So the longs up here, I'm going to get involved now on the longs. Why not during any of this when it was a little bit lower? Not that it can't keep going higher, but that's a little high for me. I'd like to see it pull back, then find the next long. So good lesson to avoid that one. But really, I can't short it when we're above the daily view up in New York. So a whole cluster of lessons and conflictions of what not to do and what to do. It's not the easiest price action. So hopefully you guys made money. Always feel free to reach out if you need extra help. Tune into the streams. You could use my name. Get July 4th promo is still running. You get your first month for absolutely free. You get access to the 2 courses, the daily live streams, the recording of the streams if you miss them or you come in late, and a lot more live questions in the chat. So always feel free to tune in. But I appreciate you guys checking out the top 1 sales. That's also still running. Best discount code is going to be with code Evan. But let's just keep trucking along for the rest of the month, one day at a time. I mean, it was just one trade today. Well, I think Monday was the battle of I lost, made it back, and made a video on that as well. That we're just trying to chip along day by day, survive these uglier weeks. There's no news this week as well. That could also be the reason why we're a little bit choppy and not seeing that continuation or follow through. But we'll just survive for when it is clean, it is optimal conditions. We could try to maximize on it, and that's when our results are going to be even better, hopefully. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Trade safe. Let me know if you need me. Leave a like, leave a comment. I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.